Hey everyone, welcome back to part 5 of our inventory management system project using Python and MySQL. In this video, we will be focusing on creating this category section. As an admin, you will be able to add different categories like electronics, office supplies, machines, medical equipment, and more. And if a category is no longer needed, we'll also cover how to delete it easily. So let's dive in and start building our category section. So inside this dashboard.py file, here I have created this category button. So I will be providing a command to this category button. So command equals to category form, and I'll be passing window object to it. So I'll use this lambda, and here I'll pass window. Okay, and now I need to define this function. So I'll define this function in a separate file. I'll name it category. Okay, and here I'll define that function. And let me just print hello here. If I run this dashboard.py file, and once I click this categories, I'm getting this error, category form is not defined. So you are seeing this error because you have to import this function in this dashboard.py file, just like you have imported the supplier form from the supplier file, right? So here you'll write from category import category form. Okay, now once I click on it, now it says category form takes 0 positional arguments but 1 was given. So I have passed window object there, right? So I need to receive that window object here. Okay, now if I click it, you see hello is getting printed here. So instead of printing, I will be creating a category frame here. Okay, so I'll go to the supplier.py file. Here you see inside the supplier form, I have created this supplier frame, right? So I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste here. I'll change the frame name to category frame. Okay, and I'm seeing this error because this frame class is not imported. So I'll import it from Tkinter. So here I'll write from Tkinter import frame class. Either you can import the frame class or you can import all. So everything will be imported like labels, buttons, and other classes. Okay, so now if I run it, once I click this categories, you see a frame is here, right? Now on this frame I will be adding a back button, and before the back button I will be adding the heading. Okay, so I'll go back to supplier and I'll copy this heading label from here. I'll paste here. Now this heading label will be inside my category frame, and the text here will be manage category details. Okay, everything else will remain as it is. So you see manage category details is added. After that I will be adding the back button. So I'll copy these 3 lines and I'll paste here. Instead of supplier frame, this will be changed to category frame. Okay, so this back button will be inside my category frame, and then what will be the command for this back button? The command will be to forget the place of the category frame. Now if I run it, so I'm not able to see here. Okay, this is because I need to make this back image as global. So here I'll write, okay, now if I click on it, you will be redirected to the dashboard. So if you see this original one, here I have added this background image on the left hand side, right? So let's add this. I have copied the image from the original project and I'll paste here. This is product category.png and it's of 400 cross 400 size. Okay, you can easily get images like this on Google, or you can check the description of this video and from there you can download this. After this, I have to import this image in our code. So using this photo image, I'll import it. I'll mention the file name, which is product category.png, and I'll name this image as logo. Okay, now I need to add this image on a label. So I'll create a label with the help of a label class. This label will be inside my category frame, and I'll add the image on this label. The image will be logo, and then I will place it. So x will be 30 and y will be 100. Let's see. You see, we are able to see the label, but we are not able to see the image. Okay, so again we have to make this logo image as global. Okay, so we will write here logo. Just like we have made this back image as global, in the same way we have to make this logo image also as global. Now you are able to see it. Okay, now you can change the background color of this label to white so that it matches with the frame color. Okay, and now we have to create this section. So firstly, I will be creating a details frame where I will be adding this category ID, category name, description label, and the corresponding entry fields. Then I will be creating a button frame inside which I will be adding these two add and delete button. Then I will be creating a tree view frame inside which I will be adding this tree view. Okay. So just below this label, I will be creating a details frame using the frame class. This frame will be inside my category frame, and then I will place this. So x will be 500 and y will be 60. Now if I'll run it, you won't be able to see this frame, right? But once I will add things inside it, you will be able to see it. So firstly, we will be adding the ID label, right? So I'll go to the supplier.py file, and from here I'll just copy one of the label because everything will be created in the similar way only, and I'll paste here. I'll rename it to ID label. Here the text will be changed to ID, and this ID label will be inside my details frame. Everything else will remain as it is. And let me also copy an entry field, so it will be just next to the ID label. So I'll copy this entry field and I'll paste here. This will become ID entry, and it will be inside the details frame. Okay, and it will be at column 1. Let's run and see. So here we are getting the ID label, and on the left hand side there is 20 px of padding, and on the right hand side 40 px of padding is there. Okay, so I'll just change it to 20 from the left and the right both. And then after ID, next we have category name. So I'll change it to category name label and category name entry. Okay, here the text will be changed to category name. Row value will become 1, and here also it will be 1. So here we are getting it. I'll add some vertical spacing between the two. So to this entry field only, I'll provide pad y equals to 10. Or you can change it to 20. And just after this, we'll be creating the description label and the text area. I'll paste here. This will become description label. Text here will be description, and just below it we'll be creating the text area. Okay, so let me just copy the text area from here like this, and this will become details frame. Row value will be 2 only, and the column will be 1. So I'll remove the pad y from this text class. And now it's fine. Let's move this description text at this position at the top. So here I'll mention NW. Okay. Now I'll change the background color of this details frame to white. After this, I will create button frame, inside which I will be adding add and delete button. So I'll just copy this frame from here and I'll paste it. This will become button frame. X value will be 660 and Y value will be 280. And let's firstly add buttons inside it, then we'll be able to see this. So first button will be add button. So I'm simply gonna copy it from the supplier. So here we have this add button. I'll copy it and I'll paste here. Let me just remove the command for now. We'll add it later on. Okay, and let me minimize this, and I'll copy this and we'll paste again. This will be delete button. Text here will be changed to delete. Okay, so row value here will be 0, it will be column 0. Here row value will be 0 and the column value will be 1. This is how it looks. I'll change this X value to 650. Yeah, now I think this is fine. And just below this we will be adding the tree view, and the tree view will be added inside the tree view frame. So just like we have created a button frame, we have to create a tree view frame. So the x value will be 530 and the y value will be 340. And to this frame we will provide height and width. So height will be 200 and width will be 500. So we are not able to see it because I need to change the background color. So I'll change it to yellow. And now here we can see it. Okay, now inside this tree view frame only, I will be adding the tree view. So tree view class can be accessed only with the help of TTK. So we need to import TTK from Tkinter. So at the top you can write from Tkinter import TTK like this, and now you can use it. So ttk dot tree view. Okay, and we will be creating the tree view in the same way just like we have created in the supplier.py file. So I can just simply copy everything from here, like the scroll bars, right? We'll be adding the scroll bars also, left scroll bar, right scroll bar, right? And this is the tree view that we are creating, and then we'll pack the scroll bars, right? Y scroll bar will be packed on the right hand side, X scroll bar will be packed on the bottom side, right? Then we'll set the command for the scroll X and scroll Y so that we can see the tree view, X view and the Y view, right? And lastly we'll pack the tree view. Okay, so till here I'm simply copying, and let's paste here. Let me just paste here. Okay, so instead of the right frame, these scroll bars and the tree view will now be inside the tree view frame. Okay, and the column IDs, the indexes simply will change here. So firstly it will be ID, then name, and then description. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand this thing. Here we are creating scroll bar Y, here we are creating scroll bar X, then we are creating the tree view using the TTK. Okay, and this tree view will be inside the tree view frame. Then what will be the columns? So there will be only 3 columns: ID, name and description. Okay, and then we want to see only the headings and not that extra by default column, so that's why we are using this argument. After that we are setting our scroll bars with this tree view. Okay, then we are simply packing the scroll bars, one on the right hand side and one at the bottom, and then we are simply adding the command to these scroll bars. So whenever you will move the scroll bars, you will see the X and the Y view of the tree view. And then we are packing the tree view and we are filling it on the both X and the Y axis, and we are expanding it to 1 so that it can completely fill the tree view frame like this. Okay, so this is ID, this is name, and this is description. All right, now let's provide the headings. So for headings, as you know, we use treeview.heading method, right? So we can copy from here, as we require only 3 headings. We'll paste here. Firstly, this will be the index. Index is nothing but the column ID, which is ID here. The text here will be changed to ID. Then this is name. Okay, and the text will be category name. After that, description, the text here will be changed to description. Okay, so like this we are able to see it. Now I'll simply decrease the width of these columns. So I'll decrease the ID width, and the column widths can be set using preview.column method. So I'll copy one of them from here. This will be ID 80. Okay, then it will be name 140, and then the description, let's say 300. So I hope this is clear, and we have successfully created the category page. And now let's work on the functionality of these two buttons. So firstly, I'll work on the functionality of this add button. So once I click on it, the details which are filled here, that should be inserted in the database as well as in the tree view. So I'll go here and I'll provide a command to this add button, and the command will be add category. Okay, and we'll define it. So firstly, we have to check if fields are empty or not. So we need to pass the field values to this add category function. Okay, so firstly we'll pass id entry dot get, then name entry, which is category name entry dot get, and then the description text dot get, and we'll get from 1.0 till end, and we'll simply strip the new line character like this. Okay, and we also have to use the lambda keyword so that this function is called only when we click this add button. Okay, now we'll receive these values in some variables like id, name, and description. Okay, so I'll firstly check if id equals to null, or name equals to null, or description equals to null. So if any one or all the fields will be empty, in that case we'll display an error message that all fields are required. Okay, so I'll simply copy the error message from here. So I'll search for all fields are required text. Okay, so here we have this. I'll copy the error message from here and we'll paste here. Okay, we are seeing this error because message box is not imported. So I'll import from Tkinter. So we'll write from Tkinter import message box. Now it's fine. Okay, and if this is not the case, then we'll move to the else part, and in the else part we have to connect with the database firstly, right? So we can call the connect database from this employees.py file. So we'll write here from employees import connect database. Okay, so just like we have added the supplier, in the same way we will be adding the category. Okay, so in the else part, firstly we'll connect with the database, then we'll check whether cursor or connection are not none. Then we'll use the inventory system database. After this, here we have written the code to check if id already exists or not, right? and this code we have to write after creating the table. So I'll cut this code from here and I'll add it after creating the table. So firstly the table should be created and then only we will be able to check. Okay, because if table will not be created, then we'll be getting error. Okay, so that supplier data table doesn't exist. So I hope you are getting it. So firstly we'll be executing the query to create the table, then only we'll check whether the invoice already exists or not. So firstly we'll create the table. So I'll copy this table creation code and we'll paste here. Okay, so what we'll write, create table if not exists, and here the table name will be changed to category data. Okay, first column will be of id, which will be of type integer and it will be a primary key. Second will be name varchar 100 and then it will be a description like this. All right, so after executing this query the table will be created, category data. Let me run at this stage. So if I'm not filling these details and click on add, it says all fields are required. If I'm entering the details, so now the else part is getting executed, and in the else part firstly database connection is getting established, and then we are moving to the inventory system database, and inside this database category data table is getting created, inside which we have three columns, id, name and description. Let's check them in MySQL command line client. Enter your password here, show databases. I'll use inventory system, then show tables. So here you see we have category data table. Okay, I'll see the description of this category data table. So you see these three are the fields, id, name and description. Okay, now after creating the table, next step is to check if the id already exists or not. For that we have this code, so I'll copy this code and I'll paste here. Okay, and I'll change this query, so it will be select all row from category data where id equals to %s, and this will be replaced with the value of the id from the entry field. Okay, I hope this is clear. And in this supplier.py file I'll change it to invoice instead of id already exists, so the message will be invoice already exists. Okay, or make it invoice number already exists. Okay, and then we have to write the query to insert the data, and then we'll commit our changes, and then we'll display the message box for the user that the data is inserted, and then we'll display the data in the tree view using the tree view data function. So I'll copy this code, and just after this I'll paste here. So firstly I'll change this query, so here it will be insert into category data and values %s, %s, %s. So here we have just three values, so 3%s. So firstly it will be id, then it will be name, and then the description. So we'll remove the contact from here. After that we'll commit our changes. After the commit we'll display the message box, and then we'll call the tree view data. So this will display the data that is there in the MySQL database inside the tree view. So we need to define this function tree view data, so I'll define it just above it, and it will be defined in the similar way just like we have defined in this supplier.py file. Okay, so I'll just copy this code from here. So just above it, I'll paste here. I'll expand it. Okay, so inside this tree view data, firstly we'll establish the connection with the database, and then we'll use this inventory system. Then we'll select all the records from the category data. Okay, then we'll fetch all the records and we'll store inside this records variable. Then if there is some old data on the tree view, then we'll firstly delete all that, and then we'll insert the records inside the tree view. And if there is any exception, then we'll simply display this error message box. And finally we are simply closing the connection and the cursor. So I'll just copy this code from here, and let me just add a try block here. I'll provide indentation, and here we'll paste it like this. Okay, so if there is any kind of exception, then we'll display this error message box, and finally we'll close the connection and the cursor. I hope you are getting it. We are getting error here in this tree view because this we have not received here. So here we'll pass the tree view, and while calling this add category, we have to pass the tree view to it. So here we can pass the tree view like this. So yeah, now everything is fine and we can run this code. ID 1, category name electronics, description. Now if you click on add, you see data is inserted message box, and once you click OK, you are able to see that record in this tree view. Okay, I hope this is clear. Actually, I'm going to add one more button here, which will be a clear button, and once I'll click on it, these fields will be cleared. Otherwise, I'll have to clear it manually, which I don't want. So after this delete button, I'll create one more button. So I'll copy this delete button and I'll paste here. This will become clear button. Text here will be changed to clear. Column value will be 2. That's it. Then I'll provide a command to it, clear. Okay, and we have to pass the fields to it. So firstly we'll pass the ID entry, then name entry, category name entry, and then the description text. And before calling this function, we have to use lambda here. And now let's define this function at the top. So I'm gonna receive these values in these variables only. So I'll copy these variables from here. I'll paste here. Now I'll write ID entry dot delete from start till end. Similarly, category name entry dot delete from start till end. Then description text dot delete from 1.0 till end. Now if I run it, now once I click add, you see data is inserted. Now if I click on this clear button, these fields are cleared. I'll reduce the X value of this button frame so that this can come in the center position. Okay, and when I run this code, I want the database data to be filled in this tree view. So here we have our button frame. I'll change the X value to 600. Or you can make it 580. Okay. And now I'll call this TreeView data from the end inside this category form function. And to this we have to pass the TreeView. Now once you'll run it, you'll click on this categories. You'll see the data already filled here. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's work on the functionality of this delete button. So once I select this record and click on this delete button, this should delete this record. So I'm going to pass a command firstly to this delete button. And to this delete category function, we'll pass the ID entry value because we'll delete based on the ID, right? Let's define this function at the top. So inside this function, firstly, we have to check whether the user has selected a row or not. If no row is selected, then we will display an error message that please select a row. Okay, so we'll go to the supplier file simply and we'll look for the delete function. So I'll search here delete underscore supplier. Okay, using the up arrow, I'll go here. So this is our delete supplier. Okay, this takes invoice and the tree view. Okay, so I'll just copy the code from here. And I'll paste here. Okay, let me just pass the tree view here. And while calling this delete category, from there also we have to pass. Okay, so here firstly we are checking the index of the tree view. So if there is no index, it means the user has not selected a row. So we'll display this error message that no row is selected and will return from here. If the user has selected some row, in that case this condition will become false. Okay, in that case the connection with the database will be established, and then we'll use this inventory system. After that, this delete query will be executed. So we'll delete from the category data, okay, where ID equals to %s and this %s will be replaced with the ID value. Okay, then we'll commit our changes and then we'll call this tree view data function. Okay, so this will display the updated data in the tree view, and then we'll show this message that record is deleted. Okay, and if there is any kind of exception, then we'll handle it, and finally we'll close the connection. So if I'm not selecting any row and directly click on this delete, it says no row is selected. And now if I select any row and click on delete, it says record is deleted. But you see the record is not deleted from the tree view. Why is that? So this is because this ID is coming from the ID entry, and you see when I'm trying to delete, there is nothing on the ID entry, right? So we have to get the ID from this ID column. So how can we get it? After getting the index, with the help of this index, we can get the content, right? So I'll write tree view dot item, and to this we'll pass the index, and this will give us the content. Okay, and this content will be a dictionary, and this dictionary has one key which is values, and it will give us the selected row. Okay, and at the starting index, at the first index, we'll have the id. So inside this row variable you'll get the id, or you can store the id in some other variable like id equals to row at index 0, like this. Okay, then we don't need this id from here. Okay, so using this id we'll be deleting the record. I hope this is clear. So while calling this delete category function, I'll remove this id entry.get. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now if I run it, now if I select it, you can see the record is deleted. So I hope you understood these 3 button functionalities. So this is also completed. Now in the next video we will be working on this product section. So if you find this video useful, hit the like button and comment down below. Thank you for watching.